Alright, now that's how you do a sequel, or a prequel, or a spin-off. I don't know what this is. The point is that this movie is better than the first Ouija movie, by far. Hey everyone, welcome to the review. Here's my review for the movie Ouija, Origin of Evil, or Ouija. Yes, Ouija is the prequel to the 2014 horror movie, or so-called horror movie. I just call it crap, but yeah, the 2014 movie Ouija, or Ouija. Yes, as all you know, that Ouija is one of my least favorite horror movies of all time. It's one of the worst movies that came out in 2014, and it's one of my least favorite horror movies of all time, and I was shocked that they were actually going to make a sequel to the Ouija movie, because I guess it did okay in the box office, but critically that movie was just panned. But then I found out it was a prequel, but that really didn't matter, and I saw the trailers. The trailers for this movie, Ouija, Origin of Evil, looked really stupid. However, when the reviews started coming in, when this movie came out, they were all positive. I was shocked. But then I found out why they were positive. This movie is directed by Mike Flanagan. Yes, the master of horror himself. Yes, there's a lot of master of horrors. Wes Craven, George A. Romero, James Wan. But also Mike Flanagan, because Mike Flanagan has directed movies like Absentia, this year's Hush, and Oculus. All great horror movies. And the fact that he wrote and directed this movie is the main reason why I desperately wanted to see it. Yes, the critical praise was okay, and some of the critics online on YouTube were loving this movie, like Chris Stuckman and stuff, but I was sold on Mike Flanagan, because I love Mike Flanagan's work. I think all his movies are great. I still haven't seen that movie Before I Wake yet, but his other 3 films are so freaking good. I love him as a filmmaker. I love him as a horror movie filmmaker, and this movie, yeah, I was excited to see this movie, and yeah, this movie stars Annalise Basso, Elizabeth Reaser, Lulu Wilson, and Kate Siegel, and again, written and directed by the man himself, Mike Flanagan, and Ouija, Origin of Evil is basically, I guess, an origin story prequel to the first Ouija movie, but technically I call it almost like a spin-off, because this movie has little to do, actually absolutely nothing to do with the first Ouija movie. Nothing at all, so it's basically its own movie, and the story of this movie takes place in the 1960s, and it's about this family, this mother and her 2 daughters, and basically the mother scams people. She basically does like psychic readings for people, and pretends to raise the dead and pretends she talks to the dead, and people pay money for her to do this and stuff so they could talk to their dead loved ones and get closure and stuff. And yeah, basically she's a scam artist, but one day she gets a Ouija board, and basically she unlocks hell in her house, because they find out their house is haunted with all these spirits and stuff, and her using the Ouija board summons them all, and basically they use the youngest daughter as a vessel and stuff, and yeah, basically we're in for a weird ghost possession movie and stuff, and that's basically all I'm gonna say without spoiling this movie, because yeah, there's a lot to spoil, and I won't spoil anything. This is a spoiler-free review, and yeah, I gotta say that this movie, Ouija, Origin of Evil, is really solid. Actually, this movie is absolutely stunning for the first hour and 20 minutes. Yes, this movie is amazing. It's almost like a 9 out of 10. It's like another Conjuring 2, another Hush. This movie is excellent for the first hour and 20 minutes. The last 15 minutes of this movie, in my opinion, is absolute dog shit. I fucking hated the last 15 minutes of this movie. Again, this is all opinion. A lot of people saw this movie and they thought it was brilliant from start to finish. A lot of people will just love this movie. Some people just hate this movie from start to finish. Some people will love this movie from start to finish. Some people will hate this movie from start to finish. I loved this movie, but not from start to finish. Most of this movie, the first 2 acts of this movie, is a solid horror movie. This movie is so well done. It's atmospheric. It's got tension. It's got good acting, good writing, good direction, a good structure. There's a lot of things I loved. I loved the old school filmmaking. It felt like I was watching a 1960s horror movie. There's a lot of homages to other horror movies. Like, there's a scene when a priest gets out of his car and this creepy score is going. It's like an homage to The Exorcist, and it's a very clever homage, and I really loved that. And again, these three lead actresses are all great. Elizabeth Reaser is great as the mother character. She's a very interesting, likable character. You feel sorry for her. You love that what she does when she scams people. It's kind of cool. Elizabeth Reaser is a good actress. Yeah, despite her playing in those shitty Twilight movies, she's great in liberal arts, and she is good in this movie. Annalise Basso is also really good. She's a great actress. Loved her in Oculus. This year's Captain Fantastic. She was solid in this movie. And Lulu Wilson, who plays the little girl, is absolutely terrifying. She did an amazing job. Just so good. Yeah, great kid actor. And yeah, the acting is really good. Mike Flanagan really directed the movie so friggin' well. Again, it feels like a 1960s horror movie. It feels filmed on a projection and stuff. It feels almost like a grindhouse movie at times. And I love the old school Universal logo when the movie begins and stuff. I love the opening titles. Again, it feels so old school, and I loved it. It brought me back to the 1960s, even though I wasn't even alive in the 1960s, but it feels like an old school horror movie like Poltergeist or Exorcist or anything like that, The Haunting, and it was great. I loved it, and I got invested with these characters. There was also a lot of comedy in this movie. There's some scenes that were really funny. Like, there's a scene when the teenage daughter goes to this party and they play with the Ouija board, and it's so funny. I don't want to spoil it, but if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a funny scene. It's really funny, and there's just certain conversations that happen that are very funny. There's some funny dialogue. There's intriguing dialogue. It's very smart and clever, the writing for this movie. However, that gets all ruined in the last 15 minutes. The direction's good, but not in the last 15 minutes. The writing is good, but not in the last 15 minutes. The editing, the cinematography, all good, but not in the last 15 minutes. Again, actually, the cinematography is also really well done. The interesting tracking shots, the obscure angles look fantastic and just work so well for the tone of the film. Again, not in the last 15 minutes. I'm not going to spoil the last 15 minutes of the movie, but the reason I hated it so much is because it felt like a completely different movie. And I'm not just saying, oh, I'm not a fan of the last 15 minutes. I actually genuinely mean I hated the last 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes didn't feel like a Mike Flanagan movie. It felt like whoever directed the first Ouija movie, it felt like that director directed the last 15 minutes of this movie. It lost all its subtlety, lost all its atmosphere, and all its genuine scares. Like, this movie was a creepy, atmospheric, subtle horror movie, but that just goes way out the window in the last 15 minutes. There's all this crappy CGI, a lot of shit is thrown at the screen, and some things make absolutely no sense, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? That makes no sense, and it's really dumb, and the movie ends in a very conventional horror movie way, and it really pissed me off. I left the theater, like, almost frustrated, because the first hour and 20 minutes is a solid, well-structured, well-grounded horror movie. But then the last 15 minutes happens, and it's so dumb, it's so stupid, it's so horribly done. Again, I felt like it was a different movie. It's like Mike Flanagan, like, walked off the set after, like, the last day of shoots, and they got the director from the first Ouija movie, and he directed the last 15 minutes of the movie. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. I desperately want to spoil it, but again, I'm trying to recommend people to see this movie because it's the Halloween season, there's not a lot of horror movies out, and this movie is a genuinely good horror movie. Except for the last 15 minutes. That is the only problem I have with this movie, is the ending. The ending is just god-awful. It is just terrible. But the rest of it is good. The story's good, the writing's good, the acting's good, there's good atmosphere, there's good homages to the other horror movies. The filming style feels like a 60s horror movie. It transports you to another era and stuff, and it's so well done. Very clever filmmaking. There's even clever scares in the first two acts. Like, there's stuff in the background you really have to pay attention to. You're like, oh my god, that's so creepy and so clever. Again, the last 15 minutes, there's no subtlety, there's no clever scares. It's just a lot of shit thrown at you, and just so dumb. Just so stupid. And yes, it's funny that they got Doug Jones in this movie to play the creature. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I guess Doug Jones. I love him in Hellboy, Crimson Peak, and stuff. I love Doug Jones, but that still doesn't make the ending any better. It doesn't make the CGI look better. This movie is supposed to be an homage to old school horror movies. So why are you putting CGI? There's no CGI in 60s horror movies. The Exorcist didn't use CGI. It had all practical makeup effects, and it worked, and it was creepy and scary. This movie felt like this generation's Exorcist until the last 15 minutes. Then it just became every conventional horror movie and damn near almost ruined the movie for me. It was so annoying. It really pissed me off, and this movie could have been amazing. This was like a solid 9 out of 10 movie until that ending, and it really pissed me off, but I can't not recommend this movie just because the ending sucks. And again, that's just my opinion. Some people might love this movie from start to finish, but for me, it's an amazing movie. In the first 2 acts, the ending just completely lost me, and I just was not a fan of it. Just wasn't a fan of it. So can I recommend this movie? Oh, definitely yes. Like, again, it's the Halloween season. You want to go to the theater and see a good horror movie? Please check this movie out. I would recommend it. Again, the third act is a mess, and I hated it so much, and it really brought the movie down for me, but it's still way better than the first Ouija movie, by far. This is how you do a proper prequel, sequel, spin-off movie, so yeah. Check this movie out, and I think you might like it. Some people might hate it, but I think a lot of people will enjoy this movie and have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give the movie Ouija, Origin of Evil a 7 out of 10. So yeah, check it out. Again, I would have rated this movie much higher if it just stayed consistent, but the third act just lost me. So yeah, that was my review for the movie Ouija, Origin of Evil. So yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, what is your favorite horror movie of this year so far? Best horror movie of 2016. My favorite is a Mike Flanagan movie. Not this one, but Hush. That is my favorite horror movie of 2016. But what is your favorite horror movie of 2016? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.